Today we have to take the discussion of test number 3 first, and then test number 4. Right? Rarely students have scored 100 plus marks. Majority are below 100. A few students have scored 110 or 115. So let us start the discussion. Right. You have model answers of a few questions. So where you have model answers, I will speak less. Question number 1A. What is the nominalistic theory of universals and how does it appear in Buddhism? Explain. So many students have missed this question, left this question. You know, there are 3 theories of universals: realistic theory, conceptualistic theory, and nominalistic theory, according to which universals are unreal, imaginary, and this theory in Buddhism is known as Apohavad, and it is supported by thinkers like Acharya Dinganag, Dharmakirti. Means words do not have any positive power. Words only have negative power. Online students have to mute their mic. When they have to ask their question, then only online students have to mute their mic. When I will invite their question, then only they have to unmute them and then they have to ask their question. Means a cow means not non-cow. You can see in the model answer, and if you have any question, then you can ask. Right? Next is question number 1B. You have model answer of this question. This is Samadhi Pad of Yoga Sutra. Samadhi Pad of Yoga Sutra. Actually, mostly students have written about Samadhi and all these. Yoga Sutra has been written in 4 chapters. Samadhi Pad, Sadhan Pad, Vibhuti Pad, Kaivalya Pad. So this question is on Samadhi Pad. In totality, Yoga Sutra has around 200 sutras. In first chapter, 51 sutras are there, and it talks about the twin principle, practice and non-attachment. It also talks about efforts, commitment, obstacles, solutions, and even chittavrittis are discussed in this chapter. First sutra of Yoga Sutra is Atha Yoganushashanam. And the second sutra of Yoga Sutra is Yogas Chittavritti Nirodha. So chittavrittis are discussed, and also samadhis are discussed, but you should not write in this way Sampragya Samadhi and detailed discussion on Samadhi. This question on first chapter of Yoga Sutra, you can see the model answer, and then I have mentioned that yoga is not merely a physical fitness or stress management or a medical treatment or means of manifesting money. Right? Now it is your turn. If you have any question, then you can ask. One student, I am seeing that his mic is not muted. Who is this, Ankit? Or mute your mic, Ankit. Yes. Right? You can see in the model answer. May I proceed? Next is consciousness is the result of dialectical evolution. Carvak. How they have explained consciousness? Simply you have to frame your answer with a few sutras. Prithivya pastejo vayuriti tatmani tat samudaya sharirendriya sankhya and tebhya chaitanyam. And then you can give the analogies which they are given. Jahabhut vikareshu chaitanyam yattu drishyate tambul pugu churnanam yogadrag ivotthitah. The analogy of beetle and beetle nut. And then Kinvadibhyo mat shaktivat vijnanam means they have not accepted any conscious reality in itself. According to them, when matter combined together, then consciousness is originated. Your turn. You can see the model answer, then you can ask your question. May I proceed? Yeah. Next is how extreme nihilism, how extreme eternalism and nihilism avoided in Shunyavad. Rarely students have written the correct answer of this question. If anyone has got 4.5 or 5 marks, then he or she can match his or her answer with my model answer. Simply you know that if you talk about eternity or eternalism, then Shunyavad, this is mentioned that this world only has relative reality. Relatively, this is real. So nothing is eternal. And as you talk about the nihilism, another extreme, then it means you are denying you are taking this world as nothing or nothingness or unreal. It means you are denying the practical reality of the world. So Shunyavad has followed a middle path between extreme eternalism and nihilism. You can see in the model answer. And you may be knowing, although this is not needed to mention, you might have heard about Makhali Ghoshal. Makhali Ghoshal was supporting eternity on that time. That was Niyativad, determinism, Daivavad. So Buddhism in Shunyavada, this has been criticized. And Ajit Kesh Kambalin was there. Ajit Kesh Kambalin was a supporter of nihilism or nothingness. Not needed to be mentioned over here, but you have to know about this, no? Right? May I proceed? Next question is actually that question the mostly students have addressed in, you can say, question number 1B. Describe the Sampragyat Samadhi and its types according to yoga philosophy. Samyak Pragya. Samyak means right. Pragya means intellect or wisdom. When this Samadhi is possible only at the condition of, you can say, a rise of right wisdom or intellect. Then Savitarka, Savichar, Sanand, Sasmiti, gradually we proceed from gross to subtle. Then only Asampragyat. Asampragyat means there is no need of rise of Samyak Pragya. So definitely Asampragyat is higher than the Sampragyat. You can see in the model answer. This question is written by most of the students, you can say comparatively better mostly have scored 4.5, 5, or 5.5, sometimes 6 also. Right? May I proceed? Now you don't have the model answers, right? So I will discuss the things in detail. Question number 2A. Examine critically the statement that the doctrine of Paticca Samuppada was given only to explain the problem of sorrow and not to solve the problems of metaphysics. This question has been asked in UPSC's examination in 2012. And same type of question has been asked in UPSC in 2010 also. Discuss the metaphysical implications of second noble truth. What mostly students have done? They have mentioned about 12 steps and all these. This is not at all needed. Critically examine means whatever is written, you have to criticize that, you have to oppose that. Whenever you prepare Buddhism, you have to prepare in 3 parts. Firstly, early Buddhism. In early Buddhism, only 4 noble truths. Was there any systematic metaphysics? No systematic metaphysics, no systematic epistemology as well. But the second noble truth has its metaphysical implications. One more question sometimes I give, that even after doing ethical teachings, Buddha left many philosophical impacts or implications. Where the metaphysics is hidden in Pratitya Samutpada. It is not only mentioned to address the problem of sorrow, origin and end of human life full of sufferings. That's why in so many answers I have mentioned that search metaphysics in Pratitya Samutpada. See that. What you have to mention. Look at me. In this Pratitya Samutpada, you can see rebirth or not. It is related with 3 lives. First 2 are past life, last 2 future life, middle 8 this life. It means rebirth is hidden in. If rebirth is hidden, can we stop the rebirth or not? If we can stop the rebirth, then jati will not take place. Nirvana is also hidden. Soul of Buddhism is hidden here or not? Namarup. Namarup, the way they have explained the bundle of consciousness, through the bundle of consciousness in this Pratitya Samutpada, since it is related with 3 lives, so rebirth, metaphysics. Can you explain rebirth without liberation or liberation without rebirth? How you can explain the liberation or nirvana when your cycle of rebirth stops? It means if rebirth is there and in future jati is mentioned, it means nirvana is also hidden. Metaphysics, soul of Buddhism is also hidden. Means although when you see these 12 steps, then it appears that it is addressing, it is talking about human life, origin and end of human life full of sufferings. Sorrow has been addressed, but in reality, metaphysical implications are there. And as I've told you that this question has been asked in UPSC in 2012, and same type of question has been asked in UPSC in 2010. Discuss the metaphysical implications of second noble truth. Can you say that no metaphysical implications are there regarding that question? No, it means you have to search. On Buddhism, a straightforward question you will not see. For Buddhism, I say that this is first heavyweight school of Indian philosophy. Mostly questions, what you see, it appears that it is not mentioned in your syllabus. But this is not the case. Whatever questions has been asked by UPSC, they are directly, indirectly the part of your syllabus. So now it is your turn. If you have any question, then you can ask. May I proceed? Yes, you can say. Except God. She is saying that except God, everything has been addressed. So you know that Buddhism, since Buddhism is known as an atheistic school, so God has not been addressed. Rest of the metaphysics you can see here. Okay, see, only God is metaphysics. You will see there one more question I have given on Buddhism. Regarding that, I'll discuss the point you have mentioned. Can you say that the only God is metaphysics? In Sankhya also God has not been mentioned. God has not been accepted. Can you say that no metaphysics is there? No. Definitely, God has not been addressed, but metaphysical thoughts are hidden. So you have to search metaphysics in Buddhism, in Second Noble Truth, regarding this question. Right? And you can see the question paper of 2012, then you will see that exactly same question has been asked. Next is question number 2B. This question also has been asked in UPSC's examination. And you know that this year I am doing this practice I am doing. Earlier I was not doing this. My students have told me, sir, you have to give a few typical questions of UPSC which has been asked in the past. Then senior student told me that, sir, we will come to know that what we have written and what is demanded. So a few questions you will see that in each and every test paper, out of 28 items, 5, 6 items, I have picked from previous year's question paper of UPSC, and this I am doing first time, and I think this is working very well as well. What is wrong? According to the Carvak, with the following argument. This question has been asked in 2019. All men are mortal. Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. Justify your answer with arguments. What is wrong? Simply, if you can keep one line in your mind, then you can address the question properly. Charvaka say that actually deduction is leap in the dark, jump into the dark, and induction is insufficient. Two types of reasonings are there: inductive reasoning, deductive reasoning. As you talk about this as deductive reasoning, so they will say that jump in the dark, leap in the dark. What they say that? One sutra, Vishesha Anugama Bhava Samanya Siddha Sadhyata. Vishesha Anugama Bhava Samanya Siddha Sadhyata. They say that what is the subject of Anumana? Inference. Particular or universal? Means whether you want to prove fire on that particular place, or you can say mortality in Socrates, or everywhere. If you want to prove fire on that particular place, so this is perception. Particular is the subject matter of perception. And if you say that we want to prove fire on all the places of smoke or mortality regarding all human, so Siddha Sadhyata. This you have already accepted. What is the first premise? What is the major premise? All the places of smoke are the places of fire. Or here, all men are mortal. They say that the subject of Anumana, what we want to prove, whether particular or universal. If particular, then it is not Anumana, it is perception. If universal, so what you had to prove, actually you have presupposed. Then they say that sometimes Anuman is supported on the basis of Vyapti, but Vyapti cannot be established. Vyapti cannot be established on the basis of perception because it will lead us to illicit generalization. Fallacy of illicit generalization. You can say that a hasty generalization. This is a logical fallacy in which conclusion is not logically justified by sufficient or unbiased evidences. Conclusion is not logically justified by sufficient or unbiased evidences. It is also called as insufficient sample. A faulty generalization means all humans are mortal, all men are mortal. This can be proved true when last human being dies. When last human being dies, who will make that statement? Who will verify that statement? So we have insufficient samples. So that's why they say that truthiness of this statement cannot be accepted, cannot be proved. And if the major premise is disproved, cannot be proved, then how you can proceed the argument? Then they have also said that an inference and another fallacy is there, that is petitio principii. This is an informal fallacy that occurs when arguments premises are, you can say premises assume the truthness of the conclusion. Argument in circle. That's why they say that induction is insufficient and deduction is argument in circle. Vyapti cannot be established on the basis of perception, inference, and then they will say that Swayam asiddha paran katham sadhyati. If something is disproved itself, cannot be proved itself, how it can prove others? If Vyapti cannot be proved itself, then how, on the basis of Vyapti, Anuman can be proved? Your turn. Yes, you cannot give a deductive argument without a universal statement. So if the universal statement, the major premise itself is not true, if you are not proving the truthness of that, so what they will say that this is simply illicit generalization. And what you say for a deductive argument, if the premises are true, then conclusion must be true. If the premises are of the syllogism is not proved true, then how you can talk about the certainty of the conclusion? And here you not need to mention the criticism and all these. Simply UPSC has asked the question, what is wrong according to Carvak? No critically examine or critically evaluate. These things are not asked. No? So you have to mention the views of Carvak. In the end, you can write 1 or 2 lines that this approach of Carvaka has been criticized by Nayayikas and other thinkers, and right. How perception cannot be accepted? Yeah. Yeah. This you have to mention when any such question is asked, that their criticism of Anumana itself a kind of Anumana. Or criticism of Anumana is actually a contradiction. Or with this, critically examine, critically evaluate. In the end, you can write. Otherwise, that is a topic of a separate question. Right? Next is examine Jaina instance of Naya. And how does it differ from Syadvad? For a long time, many students were thinking that Nayavad and Syadvad, this is same. Those who have not background of the subject. Those who have background of the subject, one fellow has done her post-graduation in philosophy. So she may be knowing that right from her academic times. Otherwise, mostly students say that Nayavad is their epistemology. No. Nayavad means Syadvad. See that. अनेकांतवाद मेटाफिजिक्स, नयवाद एक देश विशिष्टो अर्थो नयस्य विषयो मतः. When we have partial knowledge of something, this is nay. And how we can express this partial knowledge? Syadvad, saptabhangi nay, linguistics. So, anekantavad metaphysics, nayvad. Nayvad means not saptabhangi nay. Nayvad means ek desh vishishto artho nayasya vishyo mata, the partial knowledge what we can have because we are not Tirthankar. For this is a separate topic. Negama sangrahascha vyavhar rajju sutrakau shabda samabhiruda vambhuto cheti naya smritaha. 9 nayas are there. Means 9 types of partial knowledge they have discussed. So, Nayavad is their epistemology. Syadvad is their actually linguistics. So, in this question, can you say, this question has been asked by UPSC in 2016, examine Jain instance of Naya and how it differs from Syadvad. Can you say that no difference is there? If you take Nayavad as their epistemology, Syadvad as their epistemology. Syadvad is linguistics. 7 types of judgments. भैया जहां judgment आएगा वो तो language होगा ना. If the judgment comes, then it will be the part of language. So this you have to mention. Partial knowledge we cannot express in the form of holistic judgment. So before giving any judgment, we have to mention Syad and all this. And you can also mention that Duraniti, Nay, Durnay, Nay and Pramana. If you say that this partial knowledge is true, this is Durnay. If you say that this partial knowledge, Nay. If you say that Syat, somehow this partial knowledge, now this is Pramana. You are not getting this. Suppose you may be knowing that blind person and elephant. Suppose the blind person who is touching the rope of elephant. If he says that elephant is identical to the rope, Durnay. He may be asked to touch the other part of elephant and now he is wrong. If he says that elephant is like Nay, like the rope, now partial knowledge. Nay. If he says that somehow elephant is like a rope, it means from a particular angle, one part of elephant, whatever partial knowledge I am getting, so I can say that. Okay. May I proceed? Next is, while giving the arguments for existence of Purusha, Sankhya say that it is free from 3 gunas. And while giving the arguments for plurality of Purusha, they try to prove it on the basis of 3 gunas. Is there any contradiction appears? If yes, then how Sankhya give answer? Explain. What mostly students have done, they have started giving the arguments for the existence of Purusha, plurality of Purusha. See the second argument for the existence of Purusha. What is that? Trigunadi viparyayat. Sanghat pararthatva, trigunadi viparyayat dadhisthanat, purushosti bhoktrabhavat kaivalyatam pravattescha. So see the second argument for existence. What is this? Trigunadi viparyayat means Purush is free from all three gunas. And see the fifth argument for plurality. What is the fifth argument for plurality? Traigunya viparaya chaiva. Means plurality of Purusha has been discussed on the basis of three gunas. Sattva, Rajitam. Now simply you can see the contradiction. Now how they will give the answer? They will give the answer on the basis of Jna and Baddha Purusha. Jna and Baddha Purusha, they have said that out of 10 arguments, 5 for existence, 5 for plurality. 9 arguments we have given for Baddha Purusha, except one, because this was our responsibility to discuss about contrary to the Prakriti. Prakriti has 3 gunas, and contrary to that must be free from 3 gunas. So one argument, that is second argument for the existence of Purusha, is actually applicable on Gya, who is one, who is free from all 3 gunas. Remaining arguments are applicable on Baddha Purusha. Bhoktra bhavat, kaivalyatham pravattesha, janma pratiniyamad, marana pratiniyamad, karana pratiniyamad, ayukpat pravattesha. You may be knowing these arguments. So this actually has been asked. Your turn. May I proceed? Not at all. You not need to write all the arguments. You have to address. You can write in this way, ki out of 5 arguments given for the existence of Purusha, the second argument is this. Whatever is written, free from all 3 gunas. And while giving the arguments for the plurality, the fifth argument, that is Traiguna Viparaya Chaiva, where the plurality of Purusha has been proved on the basis of 3 gunas. Now the contradiction appears. See, what is the true nature of Purusha? Then they will give the answer. Right? You have to keep on seeing the question paper of the previous years, then you will come to know that, suppose in 2014, UPSC asked the question, self never comes in bondage, nor liberates. What does it mean? This actually is applicable on Gya. Purush, he is totally isolated from entire process of evolution. So the bondage and liberation for Purush is actually phenomenal. This is a fiction. Right? Next is, what is the significance of Nirjara and Moksha in Jaina philosophy? Explain. Simply, you know that Asra Bandh Samvar Nirjara Moksha. If I say, you all are, I think, much qualified, so I am not dealing very superficially. I am dealing in that, you can say, depth. If I ask you that, 3 types of actions are there, na? Sanchit karma, sanchiman karma, prarabdha karma. Somewhere will stop which one? Closing of doors, opening of doors is asra. Closing of door is somewhere. So sanchiman will stop. Means new karmic particles will not get entry and will stick. लेकिन old ones जो पहले घुस चुके हैं, जो पहले चिपक चुके हैं, they are there for those actions. Nirjara. And somewhere the sanchiman will be stopped. Nirjara se sanchit. Now you are liberated. Means only prarabdha will remain. So this will be bhav moksha condition after nirjara. Jivan mukti stage. Only your prarabdha remains, and after your prarabdha, videh mukti will be there and you will get liberation. So asra means opening of doors. Although you not need to write all these things, what I think that if any question is there, so its periphery also I have to explain. So Nirjara is for Sanchit Karma. Sanchayman is already stopped. So only Prarabdha will remain. So Jivan Mukti condition will come, and then Bhav Moksha, Dravya Moksha, Videha Mukti. Right? May I proceed now? One question I have given that what is Swatantra Vijnanvada and how it is different from Vijnanvada? You know, Vijnanvada school was established by Maitreyanath and his disciple Asang. And Asang was elder brother of Vasubandhu. That's why you will see Vasubandhu, due to the influence of his brother, he shifted from Hinayan to Mahayana. Earlier he was the supporter of Vaibhashik school, Abhidhamma Kosh, the book that is written by Vasubandhu. Then he shifted to Sautrantik, and then later on Vijnanvadis. What is Ale Vigyan in Vijnanvad? You can say that an eternal, permanent, never changing, storehouse of consciousness. If this is the condition, Vigyapti Matrata, they say that, and they say that this is never changing storehouse of consciousness. Could it be compatible with the theory of momentariness or Chanikvada Buddhism? No. Means simply you can say that grounds on which Sautrantikas have criticized by Bhashik, that your Bahe Pratyakshavad is not compatible with Chanikvada. On the same ground, Acharya Dinganag, Acharya Dharmakirti, later scholars of Buddhism have criticized the Vigyapti Matrata Vijnanvada, and they have said that if this Vijnanvad is there, Vijnana, you can say eternal, permanent, so this will be no more compatible with the basic theory of Buddhism, that is momentariness. So what they have said, they have established a new school of Buddhism known as Swatantra Vijnanvada. Vijnan means ideas, consciousness. Swatantra means they are free, independent, momentary. Your turn. What definition you have written? How much you have got? 4 out. Okay. So it means you might not have written that why this, what is the need of this Swatantra Vijnanvad, their compatibility, not compatibility with the momentariness also. So this is needed to be mentioned. No? That's why Swatantra Vijnanvadis have rejected Vigyapti Matrata as eternal, permanent, absolute element, because it is contradictory to the Chanikvad, and that's why they will say that flow of consciousness, momentary. Right? On Buddhism, every time you have to be ready for, you can say, innovative questions. Right? Next is, how restricted epistemology of Carvak affects their metaphysics and ethics? Very brief introduction I will give you, and just you can ask. And through Sutra, Pratyaksham Vivekam Pramanam. Now, how it has restricted their metaphysics? Metaphysics may you have to address all 3 parts: world, God, soul. When you will come to world, Akash. When you will come to God, no perception. Soul, no perception. Means, and a syllogistic argument is there, no? Perception is only source of knowledge. Transcendental realities cannot be perceived. Therefore, transcendental realities do not exist. That type of syllogistic argument will be given by the Carvakas. Now you have to come to their ethics. If restricted epistemology and restricted metaphysics, then their practical life, daily life, supposed to be deteriorated. Gross hedonism, sukhameo swarga, dukhameo naraka, maranameo varga. Yavat jivet sukham jivet, rinam kripta kritam peveta. For the sake of tomorrow's peacock, should I sacrifice the pigeon what we are getting today? Means more qualified happiness you will get in future. That is not certain. Spiritual happiness. For the sake of that is uncertain, should we leave the pigeon, the happiness, the pleasure what we are getting today? Dharma, Artha, Kam, Moksha, they will say that only two Purusharthas are there. Right. So you have to address their epistemology in the beginning, in brief, then you have to come to their metaphysics and correlate this with their epistemology, and then you have to correlate the gross hedonistic ethics of Charvaka to by their restricted epistemology and metaphysics. Right? May I proceed now? Up see, next question is very, very interesting question. What I have asked, how does Sankhya describe nature of Purush? What mostly students have done, मैं पूछ रहा हूं nature of Purush, and they are giving arguments for existence of. For both Purush and Prakriti, दोनों का नेचर पे you will see more questions. प्रकृति का जो त्रिगुण नेचर है उस पे यूपीएससी will ask more question. Otherwise, भेदानाम परिमाणात समन्वयात, तो you know that any student of UG level can give this argument. Rarely you will see this type of question. Nature of Purush. If you see 17th, 18th, 19th Karika of Sankhya Karika is mainly related to Purush. And 17th for existence, 18th for plurality, and 19th nature. What is that Karika? Tasmat cha viparyasat siddham sakshutamas purushasya kaivalyam madhyastham drishtitvam makartritva bhavasya. Tasmat means, tasmat word here is used for that means Prakriti. In 15th Karika they have discussed about Prakriti. अब now what they are saying, उसका उल्टा है भाई वो. तस्मात् च विपर्य, contrary, opposite. सिद्धम साक्षित्वमस्य पुरुषस्य. So we are talking about the Purush, Kaivalya. Madhyast means neutral. If I ask a simple question to you, the Purush of Sankhya is doer, knower, consumer, perceptor. Doer, knower, consumer, perceptor. When subject was there in prelims, even you know that one fellow has done her post-graduation in philosophy and she is not being able to give the answer of this question. In this Karika, you will see the answer. Kaivalyam madhyastham drishtitvam akartritva bhavasya. Drishta hai wo, perceptor hai, neutral perceptor hai. That's why Purush does not come in the entire process of evolution. And here your view, my view does not matter. What is mentioned in Sankhya Karika that matters? Akarta hai wo, not doer hai. Akartatva bhavasya. This you have to mention that contrary to Prakriti. Prakriti is unconscious Purushes, conscious Prakriti is active Purushes, inactive Purushes, neutral, not doer, then you can elaborate. Due to ignorance, Purush thinks that the work done by Buddhi is actually done by me, so he comes in bondage. No need to give the entire argument if the question is on nature of Purush. So you have to mention the nature. Nature ke regarding, you can also mention that two types of Purushas are discussed, Gya and Baddha Purush. That way you can mention. These things you can mention that Gya is one and only one. He is similar to the Brahman of Shankaracharya, free from all three gunas. And Baddha Purushas, you can say that those who are in bondage, and but entire argument is not needed. All the words used in the question address those words. Right? Next question is, what is Chitta in yoga philosophy? Is it conscious or unconscious? Give reasons for your answer. Chit, you can say that Chit means buddhi or intellect, ahankar or ego, and manas or mind. And since ahankar and manas are originated from buddhi, so it is said that buddhi with these two is chitta. Antahkarana. Chitta is same as, you can say, antahkarana. Simply you can say that these three internal organs of Sankhya form the Chitta. Buddhi is not an internal organ, but ahankar, ego, manas, antahkarana. Is it conscious or unconscious? My question is, Buddhi or Mahat is the first evolute of Prakriti. So will it be conscious or unconscious? He is saying Buddhi is conscious, but Prakriti is unconscious. So you are directly attacking on Satkaryavad of Sankhya. Is it compatible with Satkaryavad? Can unconscious produce the consciousness? This is the logic. This is the logic. Since Buddhi is the first evolute of Prakriti, and Prakriti itself is unconscious, so Buddhi is unconscious. But since this is first evolute of Prakriti, most micro, so it has ability to reflect the consciousness of Purusha, so it appears conscious. One more question I am asking. Buddhi is doer or not? Active or not? Buddhi is active or not? Active. उसका evolute है भाई, सांख्य का, प्रकृति का evolute है, तो जो प्रकृति में होगा, definitely you can say here. That's why in 8th Karika of Sankhya Karika it is mentioned, Sakshmyat tat anuplabdhe na abhavat karyas tad uplabdhe. Mahadadi taccha karyam prakriti sarupam virupam cha. Nature of Prakriti. 8th Karika. So it is doer. It is doer. It is active. And since it reflects the consciousness of Purusha, appears conscious, so Purush thinks that whatever is done by Buddhi is actually done by me. So Purush appears as doer. This is bondage. This actually is the bondage. जब पुरुष प्रकृति का रिलेशन बोला जाता है तो प्रकृति तो सटल है भाई, कैसे उसके साथ रिलेशन होगा? पुरुष प्रकृति रिलेशन मीन्स relation with first evolute of Prakriti. That is Buddhi. Your faces are telling me that how much you are enjoying. And, okay. Reason I have given you or not? Reason I have given you. Because it is first evolute of Prakriti, and Prakriti is unconscious. So it cannot be conscious, because if it is conscious, then it will be contrary against the Satkarvada of Sankhya. Consciousness cannot be produced from unconsciousness. So it is unconscious. But then you have to mention the remaining thing. Right. Now, question number 5A, you have model answers of a few questions once again. And where you have model answers, so I will speak less. What is Jain concept of Kaivalya? And how this differs from yoga concept? Does it differ from yoga concept? If yes, then how? Give reasons. Simply we can say that in Jainism this is omniscient, and yoga you will see that this is metaphysical explanation is there, stage is there, solitude and detachment. You can see in the model answer. Jainism, Kevali Gyan is there, Keval Gyan is there. In yoga, this is actually isolation, detachment, solitude. And this question also has been asked in UPSC's examination. May I proceed? No? Next question में भी बच्चों ने ऐसा ही कमाल किया है. क्या कमाल किया है? Question is significance of Namarup in Pratit Samutpada. And they are writing about entire Pratit Samutpada, then picking Namrup. You have to just mention that ki Namrup is the which stage? Fourth stage. Sorry. And then you have to show that how the soul is hidden in this Roop Sankhya Vedana Sanskar Vijnana. And that's why on the second page of the answer I have mentioned that in Milind Panho Nagarjuna says that just as a chariot is the collection of pole, axle, wheel, etc. Similarly, soul is the composition of Panchaskandha. Significance when this word is used, you not need to write about that. Actually, how it is important. Implication may what you have to do, not you have to write about that. What are the consequences? Metaphysical implication of Berkeley's statement, essayist percipi. UPSC's question. So would you write about essayist percipi? No. How this leads to metaphysics of Berkeley. Metaphysical implication of second noble truth. How we can reach up to metaphysics through this? You can see the model answer. Roop में you have to mention 4 material elements, Sankhya, Vedana, Sanskar, Vijnana. And you can see all these in Pratit Samutpada or not. Vedana you can see or not. Sanskar you can see or not. Vijnana you can see or not. Sankhya means you can say that key naming or doing perception or getting knowledge or understanding something. Right. May I proceed? No? Next is what is Chittavritti. Simply you have to define the Chittavritti. Mostly have defined. And what are its consequences? What are its consequences? You have to define Chittavritti, and then you have to mention that Praman, Viparya, Vikalpa, Nidra, Smritayaha. In Yoga Sutra, this is mentioned. Praman, Vikalpa, Viparya, Vikalpa, Nidra, Smritaya. Why chittavrittis are there and consequences, you can say that. Klesh or bondage or. So far chittavrittis are there. Man cannot get liberation. 5 chittavrittis are there. अच्छा हमको ये बताओ इसमें वन थिंग, केवल फर्स्ट के ऊपर आई एम आस्किंग द क्वेश्चन. चित्तवृत्तिज वी हैव टू इराडिकेट. Eradication of chittavritti is yoga. Yoga chittavritti nirodha. And first chittavritti is pramana. Pramana means true knowledge. Why the eradication is needed? True knowledge क्यों eradicate कर रहे हो? Why they are asking us to eradicate it? How many pramanas are accepted in Sankhya? Three pramanas are there. And pramanas are, through pramanas we get the knowledge of the material objects, material world. और इसी material world के detachment को they are talking. Through perception, through inference, through shabd. These pramanas के through you will never get the knowledge of the highest reality. So that's why they say that these pramanas are needed to be removed. Pratyaksha. So you can get the knowledge of vyakta. Anuman se avyakta. Right? That's why they have said this. Okay. Next is Jainism is a pluralistic relative realism. Simply, you can mention Utpad Ved, Dhrav Sankhya Sat, Anekantavad, Gun Paryayavad Dravyam, Puriyanti Galanti. That means, look at me, either they are metaphysics. You can start with their theory of reality. Either you see their theory of reality, as you can say, relative or not. Utpad, Vyay, Dhrav, Sankhya, Sat. This is the middle path between two extreme theories. Two extreme theories, eternity and nihilism. Eternity you can see in Vedanta. Ek rupeni avasthito yo arthasa paramarthaha. Trikalabadhyatvam sattam. And arthakriya karikattam lakshanam sat. Buddhism, they have followed a middle path. Eternity is addressed by Dravya. Changiness is addressed by Utpad and Vyay. Recently, I think UPSC asked the question, I think 2020, that I think 2020, that what is Jain notion of reality and how this reflects in their judgments. That's why in Jainism, theory of reality is their heart. When I teach Jainism, at least 45 minutes, 1 hour, I speak on their theory of reality. Then I say that if theory of reality is clear, then Anekantavad, Nayavad, Syadvad, so easily you can understand. If you see this Utpad, Ved, Dhrav, Sankhya, Sat, in terms of, if you see it metaphysically, Anekantavad, epistemologically, Nayavad, linguistically, then it will be Syad, Saptamangina or Syadvad. So, everywhere you can see pluralistic relative realism. Either they are metaphysics or they are epistemology or linguistics. You have model answer of this question, so why I am speaking this much? Okay. But I think that sometimes a few hidden things are there which is not mentioned in my model answer. Okay. Next is, may I proceed now? Next is question number 5e. You have model answer of this question. Write a note on Jain notion of bondage. Simply bondage you have to write. मिथ्या दर्शना विरति प्रमाद कषाय योगा हेतु पापस्य कारणात्. Mainly you have to address kashaya. You can see in the model answer. But you have to mention all 5. And then in that you can also mention, since the question is on bondage, so karmic particles and 8 types of karmas they have discussed. Ghatiya, aghatiya. Only names are needed, not no need to detail them. Right? May I proceed? See that. This question I have asked, the topic I think you were asking, is it consistent for the Buddhism to admit the theory of Nairatmavad and the doctrine of Nirvana simultaneously? Give reasons in favor of your answer. Have you got the essence of the question or not? Means if Nairatmavad is there, if you take the literal meaning of this, Nairatmavad, Anatmavad, no soul. If no soul is there, it means it appears that they are accepting body as a reality. Now the question is, when you talk about Nirvana, Nirvana of Buddha, whether his body has got Nirvana? Definitely not. These types of questions you can also see in paper 2 philosophy of religion part. The theory of anatta. Anatta means no soul. It is a big challenge for Buddhism to recognize it in the form of religion. Because if no soul is there, rebirth you cannot discuss. Without rebirth, liberation you cannot discuss. Entire spirituality will go in vain. You cannot discuss. It means you have to start in this way. And this is a common question to all the Buddhists. If no soul, then what? Then you have to give the answer. That they have accepted rebirth without soul to sanskara. And they have explained, they have accepted nirvana as well, and through, you can say Astangik Marg or Eightfold Path is there, and they have also talked about Atmadipo Bhava, self-enlightenment, and body is not supposed to be received by, knowledge is not supposed to be received by the body. So bundle theory of soul they have to address. You have to address, and then you can say that, so they have accepted rebirth. Flame का example वगैरह जो सब simple type की चीजें हैं, that also you have to mention. And then you have to say that कि this way they have explained rebirth and also nirvana. Yeah. He is saying that they have rejected metaphysical soul but not jiva. Actually, soul in Indian tradition has been accepted or discussed in 3 ways. First is practical knower, vyavharik pramata. In this way, soul has been accepted in Buddhism or not? Accepted. This is known as Kudagal of Buddhism. And practical knower is accepted because if this is not accepted, then to whom Buddha was delivering his speeches? Second, metaphysical soul apart from the body. They have not accepted. And in Buddhist text, this is mentioned that this is like to search a black cat in a dark room and actually no cat is there. This is just like affection with an unseen and untouched beauty or beautiful women. ये ऐसी एक अदृश्य अश्रुत सुंदरी के साथ प्रेम है. If you are talking about soul, जिसे ना किसी ने देखा ना किसी ने छुआ, who is neither touched or seen by anyone, not accepted. Third is absolute pure consciousness. In this context, Soul has been accepted in Buddhism or not? Yes, nirvana. And that's why superlative explanation of nirvana they have done. As in Vedanta, Brahman has been explained. If you see Buddhist text, this is mentioned that nirvana is higher than mountain, deeper than ocean, sweeter than honey. So it means in this sense also soul has been accepted. So these things you have to write if any such question comes on soul. Here you have to say that soul has not been accepted, but bundle theory has been accepted, and they have accepted rebirth and liberation as well through sanskar and all these. Right? Next is how Sankhya explain bondage and what are its consequences. What is the way to get away from it? Explain. I think I have addressed most of the part. Bondage, I have told you that. Purush and buddhi and doer and consequences में 3 types of dukha, adi bhautik, adi daivik, and adhyatmik. What is the way to come out? Through knowledge, shravan, manan, nididhyasan, both jivan mukti, videha mukti, and negative explanation of liberation. Right now? Next is, sense pleasure is the highest goal of ethics of Charvaka. This also I can say that. यावत् जीवेत सुखम जीवेत ऋणम कृत्वा घटम पिबेत भस्मीभूतस्य देहस्य पुनरागमनम कुतः सुखमेव स्वर्गः दुःखमेव नरकः मरणमेव अपवर्गः. And that way, although later on you can say that crude Charvak and cultured Charvak difference has been made, but you can write 1 or 2 lines, but here you have to mention that sense pleasure is. Actually, Charvak, regarding Charvak, we have no original source of knowledge. We mainly come to know through Purva Paksha and through Madhvacharya's Sarvadarshan Sangraha. Madhvacharya has written one of the best book on Indian philosophy, Sarvadarshan Sangraha. Haribhatta Suri Shaddarshan Samucchay, Prabodh Chandrodaya of Krishna Mishra. Earlier I had this book, Prabodh Chandrodaya of Krishna Mishra, and Madhvacharya's Sarvadarshan Sangraha as well. And along with this, one original source of knowledge of Charvaka. Have you heard about Tattvop Paplav Singh? Tattvop Paplav Singh, and the author is Jairashi Bhatta. This was published in last century, and Jairashi Bhatta is the scholar of, I think, 8th century AD. But the book is published in 1940. Right? Next is, write a note on Yogachar school of Buddhism. Write a note on Yogachar school of Buddhism. As I told you that Asang Maitreyanath, Vasubandhu, Vigyapti Matrata, rejection of material objects, the arguments which are given by Vasubandhu, then Alaya Vigyan, Manas, Pravritti Vigyan, all these things, entire Vigyanvad, you have to address. What is the relation between Alaya Vigyan and Pravritti Vigyan? Are they identical? If they are identical, then Pravritti Vigyan are momentary. So with the end of Pravritti Vigyan, Alaya Vigyan should be ended. Not identical. Are they different? If they are different, then how Alaya Vigyan could be the source of Pravritti Vigyan? They have said that neither they are identical nor they are different. The relation between them is just like ocean and waves. As waves are neither identical to ocean nor different from ocean. Waves are originated from ocean. लग रहा है विज्ञान वगैरह बढ़िया से नहीं पढ़ा है पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन करने के बाद भी, राइट? Okay. That's why when UPSC first time asked in 2015 Alay Vigyan, all the students were saying that this is not mentioned, this is not mentioned in the syllabus. Arey bhaiya, schools of Buddhism mentioned. So it is your responsibility, it is my responsibility to make you prepare for Vaibhashik, Sautrantik, Sthavirvad, Thervad, Sarvastivad, Shunyavad, Vigyanvad, Swatantra Vigyanvad. Not all the branches, but important branches you have to go through. She is saying that कि CD Sharma से Buddhism अब भी नहीं पढ़ा जाता. Okay, yeah. Actually, his PhD was on Buddhism and Vedanta. So that's why 80% writing he has done on Buddhism and Vedanta. Okay. Right. How Charvaka saved Indian philosophy from dogmatism? Explain. So you have to mention that, you have to know the dogmatism of Indian philosophy, entire spirituality. You can mention that God, soul, liberation, spiritual happiness, anything that is transcendental, spiritual, that has been discussed in Indian tradition. And Charvaka, through their practical type of philosophy, empirical type of philosophy, they have opposed, criticized all these things. So sometimes it is said that Charvakas have saved Indian philosophy from dogmatism, means thoughts which were making the Indian philosophy dogmatic, Charvakas have opposed them. Right. Next is, what is Bahe Anumevad and how it is against Bahe Pratyakshavad. Bahe Anumeyavad, Bahe Pratyakshavad, Bahe Pratyakshavad, Vaibhashik. Okay. Maybe misprint. I think in a few copies this is misprint. Dono aur Bahe Anumeyavad ho gaya hai. Okay, yes. In a few copies this is the misprinted. So Bahe, and so many students have attempted this question and just they have corrected it. They know that this is simply printing mistake. Okay. And Vaibhashik will go for Bahe Pratyakshavad. Sautrantik will say that since your theory is not compatible with momentariness, you have to believe in the existence of four moments: origin, perception, give rise to other, and decay. If you say that, even if you say that give rise to other and decay is simultaneous, then also three moments: origin, perception, give rise, and decay. Even if you say that with the perception itself, it gives rise to other object and decay, then also existence is needed for two moments. In any case, your theory is not compatible with Bahe Pratyakshavad, and Kshanikvad are contradictory opposite. So they went for Bahe Anumeyavad. Vaibhashik is similar to Moore. Sautrantik is similar to Locke. Shunyavad is similar to somehow Kant. Similar, मैं identical नहीं कह रहा हूँ भाई. Some sort of similarities we can see. Shunyavad is similar to Kant, phenomena, noumena, and Vigyanvad is similar to Berkeley. As Berkeley has criticized unknown material objects of Locke, same way Vigyanvadis, Vasubandhu has criticized Sautrantikas. The rise of Vigyanvad is actually from the criticism of Sautrantik. Right? May I proceed? No? Next is, what do you understand by Sattva, Raj and Tama in Sankhya philosophy? What relation do they have with Prakriti? Discuss in detail. Gunanam Samyavastha Prakriti. Sattva, Raj, Tama. My question is, What is the relation? Is it substance attribute relation? Dravya guna? No. Then why they are named as guna? Definitely, substance attribute relation is not there. Then why they are named as guna? One meaning of guna is gauna, secondary. And another meaning is guna means, you can say, thread or rope or dory. By that you can say the animal jeev used to be fastened in bondage. Actually, they are composite elements and dravya in themselves. They are dravya in themselves because they have their own gunas. They have their own gunas, and then you may be knowing that the sattva is white in color, red in color, black in color, and their production as well. Now, if they are composite elements and opposite in nature, how they can stay together? They are opposite in nature, no? How they can? They come together, they stay together. If Prakriti is nothing, then these gunas, they give one analogy that as clay pot, wick or thread, and oil. In a few questions I have seen this analogy. They are opposite to each other, but they come together and produce light. Likewise, they come together and they collectively form Prakriti. And then you have to mention that the result of these gunas will not be similar for everyone. Will not be same for everyone. Sattva may produce happiness for someone, distress for someone else, and affection for others. A beautiful wife, the example that is given in Sankhya and the authentic textbooks. Sattva. A beautiful wife will please her husband, will displease co-wives, and will affectionate common man. A brave soldier, Rajguna, will please his army, displease enemy's army, and affection common man. Black clouds, Tamguna, will please to whom those who are suffering from summers, will displease those who have done the hoarding of food grains, and will affectionate the loving couple living separately. It means Prakriti is none but the composition of these three gunas. And their gunas are actually substance in themselves because they have their own gunas. Why the guna has been mentioned? So that's why these things were expected. So it is mentioned that what relation they have with Prakriti. This is not a Dravya guna substance attribute relation. Right? Next is describe Pudgal in Jain philosophy and how it is different from Buddhist notion. Explain. Simply you have to mention in Jainism, word Pudgal is used for matter. When they do the classification of Dravya, Jeev, Ajeev, Ajeev में धर्म अधर्म पुद्गल आकाश. Matter, unconsciousness, Purayanti Galanti cha. Both change and eternity is there. They make combination and they destruct as well. नित्यांश भी है, अनित्यांश भी है, change भी है, eternity भी है. As we can see in their notion of reality as well, utpad vyay dhrau sankam sat. When we see Buddhism, Pudgal means consciousness. Panchaskandha, 5 groups. Soul, not metaphysical. Pudgal Nairatmya. Nairatmya means not no soul. Actually, this is Anityatmavad. Anityatmavad. So Pudgal Nairatmya means this body full of consciousness is not permanent. And this question asked by UPSC in this year examination, no? Right? Last question is, the aim of yoga philosophy is either physical or psycho or beyond both. Give reasons. Aim of yoga. This question also has been asked in your examination earlier. If you see first 5, they are physical. Yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, pratyahara. But here, in yoga, without qualifying the one stage, you are not eligible for the next stage. But I think none of us has qualified yama. Earlier, one of our national conference was in Haridwar, and it was on yoga and Gita. So I have presented my paper on Gita, and there we have discussed yam means yamayanti nivartayanti iti yamaha, and 5 yamas are discussed. और ये कंक्लूजन निकला कि पहला ही यम नहीं मिलता यार. What is the first yama? Satya, ahimsa, non-violence. Every day people are taking non-veg and doing yoga. How this is possible? How this is possible? If you are not qualified yam and niyam, that's why regarding that Samadhipada answer, I have mentioned that yoga is not a physical fitness to get away from mental stress. It is not a matter of treatment and also not manifesting money, fetching money. Niyamayanti prerayanti iti niyamaha, and 5 niyamas are discussed. Shauch, santosh, tap, swadhyay, ishwar, pranidhana. If you have qualified yam and niyama, then only you are allowed, you are eligible to do asana. Sthir sukham asanam means the posture in which you can stable for a while and you enjoy as well. This is asana. Now you are allowed to do pranayam. Can you do any pranayam without sitting in a particular asana? No. So if pranayam is not allowed without asana, asana is not allowed without niyam, niyam is not allowed without yam. So you can see the reality. First 5 are physical. Last 3 are psycho, mental. But ultimately their motive is liberation, neither psycho nor physical. Ultimately they talk beyond both of them. Yoga is the means of instrument, tool of path of liberation. Jnana marga, bhakti marga, karma marga. Fourth is yoga marga. Since this is path of liberation, so you cannot say that this is only psychophysical. Beyond psychophysical motive is there of yoga philosophy. That's why I personally always say that true yoga practitioner will not appear on the TV channel. And that's why this blame is made on true yoga practitioner. You live in isolation, detachment, solitude. They never, you can say, they never come publicly. You can say, yogis, those who have left the world on the basis of their will. What you will see in case of Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya said that to his disciples, now I am going on Samadhi and I will not come back. When I have seen a few yogis, those who have died in the sitting posture, and their dead body used to be taken in the form of a procession. They died in the sitting posture and their dead body was taken in the sitting posture. They are true yogis. That's why for yoga philosophy, I say that only you have to be restricted up to the Yoga Sutra, the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, and not go to the different dimensions of, that many yogis are known in this time. You have to restrict only up to the Yoga Sutra, Samadhi Path, Sadhan Path, Vibhuti Path, Kaivalya Path. Right? So, that way test number 3 has been discussed. So, there will be a break of 5 to 10 minutes and then I'll start the discussion of test number 4. Thank you.